The hand will stop you dead. Everyone who notices it is arrested by it. The young man has crossed the freckled meadow to an aperture, something like a window, through which he gazes, resting his hand lightly on the sill. I gaze through the same aperture into his world. His hand, practically the same size as my own, appears within touching distance, almost an invitation. The fingertips are just that side of 5.5 centuries ago. He is so close. The painting allows me to examine his face in all its particularity. The slight beard at the bottom of the cheeks and above the mouth, with its full lower lip. The first shallow crease in the neck that tells of regular dinners, and the faintly swelling jawline that hints at future jowls. His fine long nose and slender nostrils. The thick brown hair, washed and curled, but still with some untidy life in its waving fall. It shows me all this and more, but the imperceptible gap between us is unbridgeable. No voice will ever cross that gulf. His clothes are simple and sumptuous. The white linen of his shirt just visible at the neck. His tunic and hat are rich, dark, black. You can just about make out the front fastening of his tunic and the seam of his collar, but the rest is pure black. The hat is a silhouette. Any perceived volume is inferred from the care with which the outline has been drawn. It's striking that a painting so naturalistic should feature such large unfigured passages. Nearly half the surface area of the painting is black. The light falls equally on everything, but his clothes are so full of black that they reflect nothing and become an exquisite pictorial vacuum. The painting is impenetrable in its politeness. Memling shows us the youth, attentive and courteous, but doesn't presume to tell us his character. The young man remains utterly private. You cannot read his thoughts on his face. His large, heavy-lidded brown eyes look past you as his mind revolves in its own sphere, behind the screen of his face. The sitter is entirely self-contained, but this hand, which is probably not his hand, but a studio drawing, capable of being incorporated into any portrait, this clean and manicured hand attaches him to the real world, the world of the frame and the gallery in Venice in the 21st century, where visitors stand and mill about. The hand makes a claim on that world, a world of which the man in the portrait knows nothing at all. At its simplest and most profound, it asserts that man's right to his own existence. His name and story are lost, he has no tale to tell, but the hand gently detains visitors and requires them to recognise that this man once lived, and having once lived, will always live. At least, so long as this painting survives. And there's the rub. The portrait, originally conceived as a kind of insurance against death, a means for the sitter to continue his existence beyond his own lifetime, has usurped the place of the man. At what point, I wonder, did people forget who this was a portrait of? The aperture through which he looks is the picture frame itself, miraculously part of both his world and mine. The frame is thus part of the picture as well as an ornament added later. Not everyone painted this way. Van Eyck will sometimes paint as if there were no end to representation. In this Annunciation, the figures of Gabriel and Mary are depicted as statues, reflected in the slab of polished black stone behind them. There is an illusionistic stone frame within the wooden frame, and the wooden frame itself is also painted. Right at the bottom, the pedestals on which Mary and Gabriel stand are painted as if they project out slightly over the real wooden frame. If you look carefully, you can see where Van Eyck has painted the bottom of each pedestal on the frame with a little cast shadow beside it. There seems to be no point at which representation ends and the unambiguously real takes over. There is nothing so deliberately clever in Memling's approach. The man's fingers touch the infra-thin plane that divides his world from mine. They come right up to the border, but do not cross it. The gesture demonstrates the power of pictures, but also their limits. By positioning his hand on the frame, the painting draws attention to its own visuality. It knows it is a thing that has been made to be looked at. Part of its extraordinary realism is dependent on this acknowledgement of its own artifice. The landscape is lit from the left, but the young man from the right. Without neglecting the sensation of objects seen under light, the painting intimates that illusionism is not everything. Painting pursues the actual and the tangible, but makes of it a thing that never was and never could be. He surfaces in this century without having left his own. By means of the frame, suspended somehow in the park, the young man looks out into my time. But it is not me that he sees, nor can I follow where his thoughts lead. By means of this nameless portrait, and in a way that neither sitter nor painter intended, the young man in the picture accepts both his survival and his disappearance. His is the face of effacement. I hope you found this video interesting. If so, please like and subscribe, or visit my channel, Think of a Picture, where you'll find lots more short, thought-provoking videos. Thank you.